Episode 11, Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. I'm Gary Ray. We got Mendoza wins the Heisman. McDavid dismantles the Leafs Saturday night in Toronto. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they're out of the playoffs. The Bills come back after being down 21-0 to the Pats in Foxboro. You've got Trevor Lawrence doing superhuman things. 6 TDs on Sunday, 5 of them throwing. The Lynx take down the Warriors Thursday night at the PRC. What is going on with Sherrone Moore and the Michigan Wolverines? All of that and more on the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast.
6 guys, 3 sports, no leash. This is the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. Football, hockey, and baseball, the way it's meant to be. Loud, raw, and completely unfiltered.
Yes, Guy. Halser's in the house. How are you, brother?
I love the intro music. Max Smith Band, man. Rocking.
Yes. For those that don't know, Halser's son's the drummer with the Max Smith Band. So shout out to them and our good friends, Small Town Strip Club. We really appreciate them letting us use their music on our podcast. We got Pinch there with AC/DC TNT a couple weeks ago. So we had to quick pivot and find new music for TNT's End Zone and Fantasies. But how was the weekend, my friend?
It was good. It was a busy weekend. Had a Christmas party to go to through work. Of course, watching football on Sunday. Saturday was a good day too. I didn't see any grandbabies, but that's next weekend. We'll see lots of them over the holidays. So we'll give them a week off so other people can hang out with them. But then I'll retain possession next weekend.
Awesome. Good stuff. We're minus a guy, Ian Shanks, under the weather. He's been going to tournaments and sick arenas all around Ontario with his daughter and her team. And so, Shanker, shout out to you. Get well soon, buddy. Hope you're feeling better. And let's get started. We got lots going on here. We'll hear from our sponsors from the Best Western Arden Park with Trending.
This trending segment brought to you by Best Western Plus Arden Park Hotel, located at 552 Ontario Street, Stratford. Located steps from the Festival Theatre, while offering first-class accommodations with an extensive range of services, including conference center, banquet facilities, and heated indoor pool.
The number one topic trending, Fernando Mendoza of Indiana University wins the Heisman.
I was pretty confident he was going to win it. Interesting as that was, I thought it was also interesting to hear the responses of some of the other players that didn't win. Not
right,
everyone
like Diego Pavia.
Yeah. He may have dropped an F-bomb in the general direction of the voters. 189 voted for him to win. But at the end of the day, he didn't beat OSU. Mendoza did. Right. So for me, I know it's all about stats and what have you, but he beat OSU, and I think that it's tough to put anybody over top of him when you take down the giant and play really good and look good doing it.
The number one team in the country on national TV in prime time. Like the kid was
for
like
the Big Ten championship, no less.
Right. And like you had said, the kid almost got knocked out of the game.
Yep.
And right. And for him to come back the way that he did, Mendoza received 2,362 points, including 643 first place votes. Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia finished second with 1,435 points, 189 first place votes, like you had said. Third was Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. He had 719 points and 46 first place votes. And then I found it surprising. I thought Julian Sayin would have been higher up. I thought it was neck and neck with him, but apparently the voters thought differently. He ended up a distant fourth with 432 points and 8 first place votes. And I hope Diego Pavia has learned his lesson, the Vanderbilt QB. He's in his 6th year, and I was doing some more research on the kid, going, how can you shoot your mouth off the way that you did? He reminded me of Mike Vanderjagt, the kicker, the old kicker for the Colts.
Yep.
And remember when he was shooting his mouth off, and Peyton Manning, they're at the Pro Bowl, and Manning's like, here we are talking about my stupid kicker that was liquored up, and here's Pavia at a nightclub in Miami with his posse, and he's buying signs saying fuck Indiana and just disrespecting all the Heisman voters. Not a good look. So then he went into damage control the following day, and hopefully he's learned his lesson. So, but so shout out to Fernando Mendoza. What a heartfelt story that is. I was watching bits of the Heisman ceremony, and his speech to his family and his teammates and his coaches is just very heartwarming. His mother has MS and had nothing but kind words to say to her. What a great fan she's been throughout his whole career. Like, just they call it one of the best heartfelt acceptance speeches in Heisman history. So that was pretty cool. So, like I said, shout out to Fernando Mendoza on winning the Heisman. Next up, we have McDavid or McJesus, depending on if you're an Oilers fan. My God, did he light up the Leafs when he came into Toronto. Just an unbelievable game with them. For those of you that are living under rocks, he's a Toronto boy. Had 2 goals and an assist in a 6-3 win over the Leafs. Tons of family and friends in the audience. But that first goal, he picked it up, gets a pass in the neutral zone, and then just blows by all the Leafs.
Like, speed, man, it's ridiculous. I mean, he made 3 Leafs look like phantoms.
Yeah,
just blew, like it looked like there was some kind of cheat code going on there. I know I've watched him since he was 17. I know how fast he is, but that was weird. It was just weird. It was almost like he was superimposed into the picture. He was so much faster than everybody else, and he was gone. Beautiful to watch.
And he ended up splitting the D. Like, they didn't know what to do. They're looking at each other going, well, he's not going to try and just blow through us. Yeah, he is. And he did. And then poor Hildeby, he had no chance on him. He split it in. He was 5 minutes old, and they're up 1-0. The Oilers were 6-2-1 in their last 9. The Leafs were 4-0-2 in their last 6. And then I thought Oilers' new goalie, Tristan Jarry, made a good save after Toronto had tied it, and he made a great blocker save on, I forget who it was, came in all alone on him and made a good save. But we are so busy talking about things, Halser, we don't even have time to talk about the Quinn Hughes trade.
That and the goalie trades, too. I mean, how many times you see goalies traded for each other in this day and age, man? It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. And so I guess the Coles notes, Jerry is from or played junior for the Edmonton Oil Kings and won a Memorial Cup. And then Quinn Hughes got to know the Minnesota staff and Bill Guerin pretty good with the Four Nations Cup because Guerin was involved with that. So I was wondering what the connection was with Billy Guerin taking a chance on him, but he's already got a relationship with Quinn Hughes. So, and then Quinn Hughes said on the news that I saw this morning, he said Minnesota's not far from Michigan because that's where his home base was growing up. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on to see if he does re-sign with Minnesota.
Billy Guerin was a beauty, wasn't he?
Oh my God, he was lights out when he was with Pittsburgh and winning cups and just
all those years with the Devils.
The Devils, yep. So lights out. Great trade. He's got stones, man. I give him that. He gave up I think it was 3 first round picks that went to Vancouver plus a first round pick. And so that'll be interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. But I was listening to Craig Berube afterwards, and he called out Matthews and the leadership of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He said our leaders have to take control of it a lot more than they are right now. The third periods, it's been like 2 games now at home where we're flat. Like, he's pissed off, and the Leafs are just not responding. Like, we've said it here all along. Matthews is not a raw hop on my back, I'll take you to the promised land. Like, it's going to be interesting because it's easier to fire a coach than it is all the guys on the team. And what do you think's going to happen with the Leafs?
Well, I mean, probably some have talked about blowing this group up for as many as 4 or 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
So at some point in time, one of the core 4 is gone. One is just resigned. One's here long term. And so, like, it's almost time. You know what I mean? I mean, where are they going with this? What do they have for draft picks? They don't have a lot of draft capital.
No.
They've been spending a lot of their draft capital trying to get over the top. So there's only 2 ways to go. There's all the way in or all the way out, as far as I'm concerned. And you know, they're going to have to make a decision at some point which way that is. I don't think the status quo cuts it. I think it's all the way in or all the way out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as we get closer to the trade deadline. They're going to get a little bit of a reprieve in the new year with the Olympics and all of that coming on. And it's just going to be interesting to see if Treliving is a buyer or seller. No disrespect to Brad Treliving, but when he was with Calgary, he never made any big swing home run deals like a Cliff Fletcher, you know, going out and getting Doug Gilmour for Gary Leeman and a whole bunch of other pieces. But I don't see that happening. Like, I give Bill Guerin credit. That's a home run swing, whether it works out or not. At least he took the swing, right?
Yep.
And I don't see that in Treliving. If he does have the stones to trade away, like, let's face it, he's not trading away you know, anyone other than Matthews, really. Maybe Riley.
There's nobody that's in the not category. There's nobody in the not category. Everybody's available if they decide they're going to bail on it. And, you know, you have to keep, you just signed Tavares at a discounted rate. It doesn't make any sense shipping him off. So, you know, to be honest with you, it's down to one or the other.
And he's long in the tooth, right? Like, there's very few teams that are going to want him.
He wouldn't be a bad pickup for a team looking for a third line center iceman to go into the playoffs with. I mean, he wouldn't be a bad pickup, but I just don't, for the price that they're getting Tavares, I don't see him as helping alleviate, because they've also got, they're still playing around with the cap, right? So
yeah,
it's easier than it was, but obviously with the one guy with what's his name gone, but
Marner,
you know, like I said, Marner, sorry. And so really, if you want to blow it up and get your draft capital and your young guys back, it's got to be one of the 2 big guns to go. It's got to be. And I would imagine that the highest value is in Matthews to a U.S. market team.
Yeah,
that would, you know, a U.S. based team that would just market the shit out of him and turn him into tickets. And you could put him in any one of a half dozen or 8 U.S. Teams, and he'll inflate their sales. So that's what I mean. That kind of a move makes sense to me, moving Matthews. But again, they may want to go and pick somebody up and believe that they got one last kick at this can. You know, everything's so tight in the East. All you got to do is get in, just sneak in, and then make something happen. But that's a pretty optimistic take on what's going on in Toronto right now.
Depending on how healthy they are and if their goalies are back, honestly, I would not be opposed of trading Matthews the way that Edmonton traded Gretzky, and get as much as you can and restock the cupboards, right? Because, like, let's face it, Matthews is injury prone now, and he's not getting better. His stats are going to go down. Like, he's not going to score 60 goals again. At least I don't see him scoring 60 goals again. So I would seriously consider trading him away. to try and restock the cupboards and see if they can do something that way, get some picks back. Like I thought Jimmy Rutherford hit a home run for Vancouver, getting what he did for Quinn. Like that's just great management of draft picks and players. So
where do you set the bar, Razor? Where do you set Matthews above or below Quinn Hughes, value wise in a trade?
I would put him below. I would actually put him below. I honestly don't view Austin Matthews in the top tier of scorers in the NHL anymore, because he's not healthy enough. He's not hungry enough. He's like that analogy that you said. He's that rich kid. He's got all this money now where he doesn't need to go into the corners and get his nose dirty. And I view him as that. He's already made bank. And he hasn't shown me in the playoffs yet that he's willing to sacrifice whatever it takes. And to me, that's the sign of a true leader, like where you're willing to sacrifice your body, everything, and lay it all out there. He's not that guy. I still think he's a great talent. I just don't view him as a top echelon, like a Connor McDavid or that top tier of guys that will take you to the promised land. He's not that guy anymore. He was, he's not anymore. So, okay, let's get into other big news with trending. We still got football stuff to talk about with End Zone and Fantasy, but still with trending, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they're out of the playoffs for the first time since 2014. And Mahomes is not going to be in the playoffs since 2018. Like the guy, and he's got it looks like a torn ACL. Kind of looked like a nothing play.
It's a hyperextension.
Yeah,
and he was scrambling and trying to get rid of the ball, and that left knee was already wonky to begin with, and you could see it right there on the replay. He hyperextended it, and I was just going to say that missing the playoffs is not the worst news of the day for the Chiefs.
No.
All the good fortune that shined on them over the last few years has paid them back kind of all in one play, so to speak. It kind of, they looked like they had a chance to go down, get a field goal, tie it up, still an outside chance, but they're still the Chiefs, blah, blah, blah. But that play where he goes down, and next thing you know, my old buddy Minshew too's in there with the mullet.
Oh God.
And he threw a couple of good passes, but then he threw a real bonehead one trying to
feed it into Kelsey. Yeah.
When he's completely covered and, spotted up on the inside. So there's a big drop in fairness, when you're paying $55 million a year for your quarterback, there's a big freaking drop to the next guy. Yeah. And Minshew's not bad. He is, he's been around.
He's a good backup.
Bit. He's a bona fide NFL backup quarterback.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, now it doesn't matter right now. So you wonder what's going to happen with the Chiefs moving forward. Like if you're in a fantasy situation, if you've got Kelsey, if you've got Rice, if you've got Hunt,
Hollywood, all of these guys.
That's a big situation there. So
the thing that
at the end
really,
of the day, I'm a Bills fan, and they've been running me over for a decade. So boo freaking who, buddy. Missed the playoffs for a year. I hope Patrick isn't done. He's I don't like him, obviously, being a Bills fan, but he's a big part of this league and will be for a few more years. So I hope he gets better and okay and ready to perform and ready to lose to Josh when he gets back. But at the end of the day, what's that old line from Batman when he talked? I miss you already, but I'm glad you did.
Well, it's interesting because I was down to Jacksonville a number of years ago, and that's when Minshew mania was at its highest.
Yep.
And like everyone in the stands had the mustaches on, and it's just going to be interesting because that ACL is going to keep him out.
Well, is he going to make it back in time for next season?
Well, and that's just it.
Too.
Like they're talking about, a year's recovery. So that takes him into October, November. And then is Kelsey going to come back? Like they've got a lot of question marks that they've got to address, but it's going to be interesting. So, okay. Let's get into end zone and fantasy, and we'll talk about Josh Allen. I've got the Superman logo in behind me because, man, did he put his cape on at halftime and lead those Bills back. All right, we'll hear from our sponsors with TNT, and we'll be right back.
End Zone and Fantasy. Brought to you by TNT Security, Inc., where security meets reliability. Call Todd Schmidt today for a security quote on your concert, dance, sporting, and alcohol event, business, property, or mobile patrol security.
End Zone and Fantasy brought to you by TNT Security, Inc. Todd Schmidt and all the good staff out at TNT. We thank them for their support and partnership with End Zone and Fantasy. Bills comeback, my God, 31-30 or 35-31 in Foxboro. We were texting on the group chat all back and forth. They're down 21-0 and 24-7 at the half. And what did you see on Sunday?
Well, that looked like they were going to get run out of the building. And they couldn't stop Travion Henderson.
Right.
Nobody was getting open. It was 3 and out the first 2 times. But at the end of the day, it's just rinse and repeat, man. This seems to be a regular thing. They look like dog shit against Cincinnati for 2.5 quarters and should have lost that game. But, back-to-back picks in the fourth quarter carries you through that game.
Yeah.
This team from week one, when they stole that game against Baltimore at home.
Oh, they're down. They were down 40-25 in the fourth quarter with 4 minutes left.
So that's week one. And so they have become, not only are they the cardiac kids, I swear to God, that I got a coronary coming. It's going to have McDermott's name on it. They have turned into a second half monster. If they played their first halves like they play their second halves, they'd be undefeated. We'd be talking record. We're talking 2017 Mustangs good here. But it's ridiculous now that they're down. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they're down. From week one, he made the big comeback happen, and he showed everybody that this game's never over. And Bills fans are saying it. I was even talking to my kid yesterday after the game. It's like, it doesn't matter what the score is. It doesn't matter who's hurt. It doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't matter what the weather is. Doesn't matter who's playing along with them. As long as 17's on the field, you got a chance to win the football game. And I tell you what, he's not going to get a whole lot of votes, I don't think, for MVP. But if MVP was truly about he who is most valuable to his team, where is Buffalo without Josh Allen? What if Buffalo and Miami traded quarterbacks? and Tua was playing for this team would be 2-12.
Yes.
There's that much difference. He has absolutely gone up and stolen at least 4 games in this season. And so we're running out of superlatives. He just is so mature now. He used to be stamp my feet and throw it and run all over the park and whatever. He just makes a throw. He's calmly back in the pocket, makes his throw. If it's not there, he takes off. It doesn't matter to him anymore. He doesn't get excited anymore. It's beautiful to watch. The guy is absolutely deadly. And Buffalo is a deeply flawed team. They do have the number 1 rushing attack in the NFL. James Cook is leading the league, or number 2 in the league, in 4 or 5 different offensive categories. And Josh is playing good, but then all of a sudden when they really need him, look behind Razor and he just puts the cape on and off he goes. It's crazy. A 45-yard dash against the Bengals last week, hitting the throws that he needs to throw. He's still making some bad mistakes, but it's just because he's got the ball every play. Eventually we're all going to make mistakes when we have the ball all the time, but it's just been so much fun to watch. I said to my dad, I don't recall a guy playing for one of my favorite teams that I had so much enjoyment and awe watching. Going back all those days, watching Bobby Clark and Eric Lindros and Robbie Alomar and Joe Carter, but I've never really had a guy to cheer for. Like, this guy is all world, and he's Buffalo's guy, and he's relatable, and he seems like a nice guy. And just couldn't ask for, I'm doting on him right now, but I think he's earning all of the accolades.
100%. I don't know if you saw Mike Vrabel, his press conference after the game, and he's like 6'5", 240, runs like a deer, gets paid $60 million,
Yeah, this
earns
is why they
every
pay him
penny of
$60
it.
million.
Right?
Yep.
Like it was very refreshing to hear an opposing coach talk like what we all see, right? Normally people aren't full of accolades of the opposing team's quarterback the way that Vrabel wasn't. And that wasn't any knock against his own quarterback, Drake May. It was just that if it wasn't for Josh Allen, like you said it, if it wasn't for Allen, they'd be like 2 and whatever. And now here they are, knocking on the door. They've got an outside chance to still win the AFC East, which is crazy.
Yeah, New England's got to go to Baltimore next week, and that'll be a tough game for them. And, Buffalo's still got to go to Cleveland and win that game, and then they've got Philadelphia coming to town after that.
That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, before at least they get them at home. But Philadelphia, we all know the Achilles heel of the Buffalo team is that good teams that can run the ball. And here comes Saquon Barkley in the snow. It's a good thing, though, I'll be out of the fantasy playoffs because you wouldn't want to face me and Barkley that week. That's for sure.
The only thing that scares me about the Bills is that they keep going to the well with Allen and Cook, like you said.
Oh, agreed. I agree 100%.
The D just puts now Milano was lights out. He had a great game as usual. And then Bosa had a great game swatting down that fourth down pass from May. And
I guess what I see in the defense is a lot of porousness, but guys that do make plays.
Yes.
They can't get off the
at
field
opportune times.
Yeah, they give up, ever since Oliver went down, they've been getting gashed up the middle. They don't get to the quarterback often enough as a rule. Guys wide open in the secondary, but there are guys out there like Benford, like Bosa, like Milano, that just go out there and they ball and they make plays. When they really need a playmate, a Poyer or somebody like, they'll just make a play. And so it'll be nice to get everybody back healthy, but that's not realistic. They're going to be missing the 3 guys for the rest of the season, Oliver and Rapp and the linebacker. But Shaq Thomas is playing okay, but this is it. This is them. They're deeply flawed, but it just doesn't matter because Josh is playing at that kind of a level where he can just pick it up and carry the whole bloody team. And it's so much fun to watch. And it is realistic for them to go on the road in the playoffs with their number 1 running game in the NFL and win their way to the Super Bowl.
It might. And now, if you would have said back in September that the Bills would have a chance to win the AFC East, now we thought they were going to by a landslide, but if they have a chance to win the AFC East and they don't have to go through Patrick Mahomes and possibly Lamar Jackson, you'd be going, sign me up.
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
It's going to be interesting. But they got to tighten up that defense. They gave up 246 yards rushing to the Patriots. 117 were in 2 plays with Travion Henderson.
Can't happen. He went right. He got stacked up. Everybody overcommits, and the whole left side of the field is open. Like somebody should
have been a 2-yard loss, not a 65-yard TD run. So
even if he gets out of that and makes some positive yardage, he's a good back, but that can't happen. You fought your way all the way back from 21 down, and you're going to let a guy bust off a 65-yard play like the opposite direction after you stacked him up. And that's the frustrating part. There's guys on there that make plays, and then there's guys that don't make plays.
Exactly.
That's the nicest way I can put it.
Yeah. I just want to give a quick shout out to Trevor Lawrence. My God, 6 TDs yesterday, 5 of them throwing. The Jags are now at 10-4, first in the AFC South. Travis Etienne had another great day. I played against him in fantasy. The guy I was playing against, Mike Vancia, shout out Vanny. Great game. He did not help me at all. So Jags are currently the number 3 seed in the AFC. Houston's 1 game back at 9-5. Indy's still in it at 8-6 with old man grandpa Philip Rivers, 44 years old, slinging it. And they ended up
They almost
losing.
won that game.
I know.
That's a last minute kick, and it's and one of my buddies, shout out to Dana Dusky, who had the Seattle or the kicker who got 6 field goals. The Seattle kicker. Yeah. So like 32 points out of his friggin' kicker in fantasy playoffs. Thank you very much.
He had a big day with all those.
But
he picked up Sam Darnold. What's that?
Rivers never had a strong arm, but
no, it's got that weird release.
Yeah, that 3/4, like it just comes out like a dead fish, man.
Yeah.
But he leads guys a lot further than say a Josh Allen does.
All right, I'm just going to quickly go through the playoff situation. AFC division leaders, you got Denver's number 1. They've clinched a playoff spot. New England's number 2 at 11-3. They're leading the East. Jacksonville, they're seated number 3. They're at 10-4, leading the South. Pittsburgh, we'll see what happens tonight against the Fish. They are at 7-6, leading the North. Wild card number 1, you've got the Chargers at 10-4. The Bills are second at 10-4, and then you got the Texans third at 9-5. And then still in the hunt mathematically, you got Indy at 4, 8-6, Baltimore at 5, 7-7, and Miami still somehow mathematically in it at 6-7. This is going to be the first postseason without Peyton Manning, Brady, or Mahomes since 1988, 37 years that you haven't had one of those 3 guys in the playoffs. Quickly with the NFC, you've got the Rams still holding at number 1 seed. They're 11-3. They clinched a playoff berth. Chicago's at the number 2 seed. They're second at 10-4, leading the North. Philly is seated third at 9-5, leading the East. And then the Buccaneers, they're rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. They're fourth at 7-7, leading the South. The wild card, you've got Seattle number 1 at 11-3. San Fran is second at 10-4. And then you got Green Bay holding on to the number 3. Man, losing Micah Parsons probably for the year. I haven't heard if it is a torn ACL. Yeah. Is it? Okay, yeah. So he's out. They're 9-4-1. In the hunt, you got Detroit at 8-6. Carolina, they're sniffing around with the NFC South still. They're at 7-7. And then you got Dallas. They're like Miami. They're only mathematically still alive at 6-7-1. So that's it for End Zone and Fantasy. We got Director of Hockey Ops, Jason Clark, better known as Clarko, waiting in the wings. So we'll have a word from Nick Hishin and Indy Mortgages, and we'll be right back with Jason Clark.
Buzzin' with Clarko, a weekly roundup of the Stratford Warriors with Jason Clark, brought to you by Nick Hishin of Indy Mortgage, the independent mortgage company serving customers from coast to coast with access to well over 50 lending options available. Give Nick a call as he works for you, not the banks. FISRA license number 12403.
Yes, Guy.
Hello,
Clarko,
man.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
What's up, Clark?
Good.
Not too much at all. Superman this week, eh?
Superman.
It's got to be your Josh Allen reference.
Joshy Allen, right? At halftime, he put the cape on and said to the Bills, hop on. And then I pulled out my Ryan Fitzmagic jersey that I got. So,
oh, it never ends.
Right?
That must be what people wait for every week to see which suit is Razor going to wear.
I got a lot of them.
With so many jerseys, dude. I swear to God.
Yeah, I said to him a couple weeks ago, his closet at Sport Check.
See, behind Clarky in the background, that's actually Razor's closet.
Yeah.
Just a small collection of all his jerseys.
That's right. I used to, when I was playing poker with one group, It was expensive to get in. They're still playing. They've priced me out of it, unfortunately. But if I would wear a jersey, whether it was Fitzmagic or I've got Terry Bradshaw, and if I won that night, I would wear that shirt. I wouldn't wash it. I would wear it until I ended up losing, and then it was on to the next one, on to the next one. So
good old hockey superstitions or sports superstitions.
Right?
Yeah,
absolutely. So, all right, Clarko, it was a tough start to the weekend. We ended up losing at St. Mary's 4-2 in front of, I thought there was probably like 250 people, but on the website it said there was a little over 500. We'll get into that a little bit later with Chester. Friday night, you end up losing 5-1 to the London Nationals. What the heck went on there? Because I see that you guys outshot them again. And Bender took the loss. You outshot him 34-24, 17-8 in the first period. What went on down at the Almond Friday night?
Yeah, that's a carbon copy of almost every game we've had this season. You know what? I thought we played really well in the first period and probably deserved better than a 1-1 score at the end of the first period. Second period got a little lopsided. Again, I thought we had some good scoring opportunities and just got outscored in the third period. I think the shots were 6-5 in the third period. London's a good hockey team, and, I think we played well, and I don't know whether Thursday night was still lingering in the guys' heads a little bit, and then we got down by a couple more goals, but, I don't know. I thought it was a decent game, physical enough. Again, we had a lot of opportunities to score and just couldn't finish. And, power play again wasn't great all weekend. So, it's one of those things. I think, we lost those two games to two teams that are above us in the standings. I thought we played well for stretches of each game, but we didn't play a complete game either one. And that's what happens in this league. If you can't outscore the other group or capitalize on your chances, every team's a good team, especially all the teams that are above us that we're chasing. And we just came up on the short end. So that's what I'd say about Friday. Yeah.
I was doing some research. I wasn't there. It was my birthday, so I was out for dinner with Lindsay and my mom. And so I couldn't make it down to the Almond, but I saw that 19-year-old Hamilton native Finn Wilson stopped 33 of 34. And you guys were down 1-0. That was a nice goal that the London guy scored. He split the D and went in all along. But then Fonger, the guy's just a scoring machine. He
great
got
release.
6 straight games with a goal.
Yeah.
And he tied it up there at 1 from Schmidt and Frayne. And then Menard, he was wide open. He hit a post there on the power play. Like you said, it could have been a lot different. And I saw
those are chances. If you watch that replay, the puck came to him and it was just a quick catch and release, but the goalie was nowhere to be found. The entire net was wide open. He hit the post. That's just a lot of the luck that we've had, or unlucky opportunities we've had over a fairly long stretch here. And keep thinking, we're getting all the opportunities. It's going to come at some point here where we're going to explode for 5 or 6 in a game. We've been lucky. I wouldn't say lucky. I think we're playing well enough that we're always, for the majority of the time, getting one more than the other team. But, if you look at our stat package, it talks about, expected goals versus goals that we scored. And we're ticking around the 2 or 3 goal mark where we're getting expected chances of 5 and 6 a game. So, we got to bang in a couple more and make life a bit easier for the group. But, again, I think we're playing well for stretches. We definitely got tested this week. But things have been going well. Like I said to a few people this week and talking about it over the weekend with different people. And, it's one of those things about Stratford. You love to be hated, I guess, is one of the things. And,
sure.
We lost 2 games in a row, and then we're looking at a third game, which, we're always going to get a tough game out of Listowel. And just speaking to people around, the doom and gloom about us losing 2 games in a row is incredible. And
in December.
Right. And you look, the last 12 games, we're 10-2. Yeah, we lost 2 games in a row. We lost them to 2 good hockey teams that are above us in the standings. And but the doom and gloom, and then we had the alumni game Sunday, and we're speaking with a few of the guys who were upstairs with us, having a cold drink, watching the Listowel game. And we got talking about that, how, we lost 2 in a row, and we really need this one Sunday to get out of the weekend here with a couple points. And the one guy who had played for 3 other organizations in the league, he said, nowhere in the league do you take losing as personal as you do in Stratford. And I thought that really sat with me. That really sat with me. And I don't know that it's true because I've only been with Listowel and Stratford, but I know I personally hate losing probably more than I like winning.
Sure.
But it was an interesting take from a guy that's been around the league and played, and he's moved on with his life, and he looks back at his junior hockey career, and he's around the rink on a weekend where we've lost 2 in a row, and that's the mood around the rink and the city and et cetera. So it's great. But yeah, you feel the heat when you lose a couple in a row, especially to a close rival like St. Mary's. And then London's also become a bit of a rival here in the last couple of years because they always play you tough, right? They got a good team. They're always physical. And it is what it is.
2 heavy teams, like you just said. St. Mary's has made some pickups. London, like you said, have always liked to play it tough. That's the way Press wants them to play. I just like watching the replays of it. Bender stops a breakaway at the end of the first. Like, Menard, like we had talked about, hitting the post. You had a goal called back. Wilson had that lucky save. Like, I think it went off the end of his stick.
Mm-hmm.
One of your guys right underneath where you guys were in the second period. It was a bang play. Wilson made the save, and then it came on the rebound, and he had a wide open net, and it just hits the last foot on his shaft of his stick, and the stick actually fell out of his hand because he had hit it. Those are 3 shots right there that it could have changed everything. But
those are the frustrating things for the like. I mean, it's frustrating for us watching. I can imagine how frustrating it is on the bench when you have those almost sure goal opportunities that are hitting sticks or hitting a post or catching whatever. But again, I think the encouraging part is that we're continuing to do that. We didn't play 3 games this weekend. We got outshot 30-15 each game, and we really were clawing from behind the entire time. So, like we've talked about before, it's getting to this Christmas break at a certain record, and then, tweaking and fine tuning and really honing in and being ready for the playoffs as long as you can get a spot in the playoffs. So, that's kind of where we're at, and we'll just keep working.
Yeah. Just quickly, on Sunday, you had mentioned you win 3-2 in overtime. Actually a shootout with Listowel. Yep. Gage Hurst got the win, stopped 26-28. Jack Bree ends up getting the shootout loss. Listowel started off early, had a 2-0 lead, and it looks like you guys dug down deep. Jonas came back and put you guys up on the board in the last minute in the first period, his 11th from Menard. So that must have been a nice booster heading into the second.
Yeah, for sure. Again, I would say carbon copy of probably all 3 games this weekend. I thought we really deserved probably better after the first period, the way the play was. And they scored a real nice goal, tip out front. O'Donnell tipped the one on the power play to get them going. And then Houghton came down on the rush and scored off the rush. Really a beautiful shot, beat Gage to the glove side, off the post and in. And but credit to Gage, was really, really strong for us the rest of the night, right? And not that he wasn't strong in the first period. There were 2 good goals.
Right.
But he really held on to us, or for us, for the rest of the game. And in overtime especially, there was a couple Listowel guys in all alone on him. He was able to make the stop, and then he stopped all 3 shots in the shootout. So great game by him. And Jonas and Menard connected once again for a goal, and then our guy Wildfong scored again in the second period, right?
Fonger, another one for Marshall and Curtin, like just lights out. And then in the shootout, Menard scored, Wildfong missed, and then they missed their third one, and you guys walk away with a huge 2 points after 2 previous losses. So
yeah, and always a good battle, right, with Listowel. I mean, like I think I said maybe week 1 or 2 when we were talking about the league on the podcast here, it doesn't matter if we were both 0-50 it would be a great game, right? Because the teams don't like each other, and the organizations really pride themselves on beating the other one if you can. And Listowel's been right near the top of the league the last number of years, and they've fallen back a little bit this year, but they still play hard, so they're dangerous as well. And it was what we expected.
All
Clark,
right.
did you see much of a difference between the Lynx now and the Lynx when you saw them earlier? Or not the Lynx, sorry, the Cyclones.
Yeah, I think they battle a lot harder now.
They seem like a tougher out now than they were back in September.
Yeah, I think I don't know whether it was, I don't know, just kind of the hangover of going back to back to back, kind of really good years, and the turnover they had in the roster, and they just weren't really set in their ways yet, or what it was. But I didn't think they competed near as hard when we played them the first time. They competed much harder yesterday, and I think they've been playing very well as of late, probably for about a month now. So they're going to continue to build over Christmas and into the new year here, I think.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was listening to the captains talking on 519, and Listowel's captain or assistant captain, I forget his name, and he said, we hate each other. He said, so it's easy to get up for these games. So it was kind of interesting, him being so bold and forthcoming. So, but okay.
We have that effect on a number of teams.
Sooner or later, you got to think, is it us?
Yeah.
What's the common denominator here?
Exactly. So? Yeah. Well, you know what? I remember, and I tell these stories lots. Like when I coached in Listowel, we loved coming and beating Stratford. Like there was no better place to take a team out than in the Almond Arena and quiet that crowd down and not have to listen to that horn. Yeah. Right. But it's the opposite too. When Stratford's going and that horn's going and the crowd's going, you chase a team out of there pretty early. Right. But there is no better place to win when you're on the road if you get into the rink in front of 1,000 people and you can send them away.
Coaches say that over the decades. Many coaches have said it's the best place to. It's a terrible place to go regularly, but it's the best place in the world to win.
Yeah. It's it really is kind of the love-hate relationship with that rink.
All right, that's good. So we'll bring in Chris Chussell. We're gonna get his analogy with yours, Clarko, for Thursday night's review with the 4-2 win by the St. Mary's Lincoln.
You can't put a price on a good time. Chester's Perch, the Lincoln's Report, brought to you by the Boathouse Stratford, located at 30 York Street. Come see us down at the Avon River for pedal boats, kayaks, canoes, Juliet boat tours, and bike rentals. Enjoy great food and ice cream at the Riverside Patio Restaurant. Pet friendly and operated by the Herr family since 1965.
Chester's in the house. Chris Chussell, welcome, my friend.
How are you, gentlemen?
Good.
Good, Chess.
How are you, Chester?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, no complaints over here.
Attaboy. Geez, you guys
proud as a peacock this week, eh?
They have been earning the name
I was prouder last
Legend
week.
Killers. Unfortunately, a little fewer crowd in the stands due to Mother Nature. They said that there was a little over 515 people were on the website, but I got to think it was probably closer to 200 or 250 with all the snow that we had, and it was a school night. But just
Mother Nature was setting the scene for the perfect night, right?
Yeah.
Nice snowy winter night.
In fairness, it's St. Mary's, so at least a third of the crowd's going to be in the Blue Line Club for most of the game.
It was a good start by Stratford. You guys controlled the play in the first period, and it was you were outshot them 10-6. I think you frustrated the Lincolns because they haven't played against a defensive team, I don't think, as well defensively as you guys. And then your transition, and I think you kind of frustrated the Lincolns in the first period. You outshot them overall 38-25, but there was a turning point there in the first period. It was still nothing, but I thought the turning point was when Elzinga caught Slattery there at the blue line at 4:25, and it just seemed like that kind of gave St. Mary's a little bit of energy. And Jess, what did you see standing up in the perch?
Yeah, like you guys said, the first 12, 13 minutes was all Stratford all the time. Their forecheck was unbelievable. I think it caught us off guard. We were on our heels a little bit. I don't think they've seen a three guys pressure the puck on the offensive zone as much as they did on Thursday night. And I think, we were really lucky to get out of that period even. It could easily have been 2 or 3-0 coming out of that period. And you don't want to get down to a team like Stratford early because they are so good defensively. But just a fantastic first period for the Warriors, right? And, Elzinga's hit, definitely got the crowd into it because we had nothing to cheer about for a number of minutes, right? It was just our eyes were like I had guys standing beside me going, "What's going on? What's going on?" Right? Like and I said, "It's the forecheck." I said they've never seen this kind of a forecheck all season, right? So, that hit kind of got things woken up, and then Stratford did get the nice goal there on the rebound. I think was Arnold.
Arnold, the scramble there in front of the net.
Yeah, so and luckily we were able to answer back before the period ended, which was huge. I think getting that goal before the period ended definitely changed the game as well. As much as the hit did, I think that goal by Moore was just everything's going to be all right. Go to the dressing room. We got intermission. We're even. And then we came out the second period a much better team, a more prepared looking team, I thought.
Yeah, it was a huge goal by Moore. I loved it. I was watching the 519 interview with Coach Bradley, and he was calling, actually it was with Lincoln Moore and Bradley talking post game, and he was talking how you guys call him Moose, and I thought that was great because he's a big dude. Like he's got to be like 215, 220. He's a big dude, and he's got an OHL shot. Like that kid can rip it, and he showed it there. Like he fooled Bender on I think his second and third goals. His first one was kind of lucky, fanned on it a couple of times, and then Bender was kind of like frozen, and then the puck had gone by Bender's right leg, and then he ended up putting it into the empty net to tie it up at 1-1. But they come out in the second period, and then it was just all St. Mary's. You guys regrouped and took over. And what did you, Clarko? You had some commitments that you couldn't make it over there, but what did you see on flow?
Yeah, I think Chess described the game, or the first part of the game, exactly how I saw it. I thought we had a really good start. We pressured the forecheck. We had good transition. Anytime St. Mary's got the puck, we were able to turn it over and come back at them in a wave. And I think, we feel like we should have deserved better than a 1-1 tie after that period. But in saying that, St. Mary's made the right adjustment and came out and just turned the game right on its edge there in the second period, or flipped the game completely, right? And so, I think that's what two good teams do is when you're going, then you can dominate the other, but it goes in waves, and I think the first period was ours. I think the second period was St. Mary's. And then the third period, I thought we did have a couple stretches in the third period, but St. Mary's was a much more complete team in the second and third period. I thought they held us in and pinned us down a little bit more than we could to them. But great learning night for us to play another big team in the league. We haven't seen them yet. That sets up 3 real good games, I think, coming in the new year here against each other. And, I think Lincoln Moore getting that goal late, there was a bit of a bouncer. Even our goal, right? It was a bit of a bouncer. Puck went wide, came back to the front of the net. Calhoun was really good, I thought, too, at different times. I thought we had 3 or 4 definite scoring chances that he was somehow able to keep the puck out of the net. Yeah. That could have changed the game for us. And for the goals against, I think Moore's second one there right off the face-off. I'm not sure if Bender really saw that coming through some bodies.
There was a lot of traffic.
Yeah. And then that rip to start the third period again, it was just a real good quick release that Bender missed, or maybe he was screened by our defenseman or not. But once that goal went in, I thought it was kind of like, our guys kind of didn't quit, but, it was a really tough hill to come back when you're down 3 goals to St. Mary's in St. Mary's. So As for the Elzinga hit, I didn't like the hit, but it's part of the game. Guys will look for any advantage they can do, and we let the officials look after it, and we move on from there. Right? It's a tough and a physical game, and Slots will be back, and he'll be good, and he'll be back competing hard when he can.
Halls, we were blessed to have your dad standing with us there Thursday night. Hadn't seen him in a little while, but what did you think about the game there on Thursday night?
Well, I was really impressed with Stratford's speed. I had heard about they were quick, and I had watched some video of them, but like the St. Mary's forecheck, the Stratford speed has to be experienced. It can't be described. That's as quick a team as I've seen Stratford had in a very long time. There were 2 or 3 occasions I thought it was kind of neat. Using their speed, they would fly the far side winger out early and dump the puck down and try and take advantage of the new icing rules. That was a neat little trick. And what's that number 4? Is it Arnold?
Arnold, yeah.
He negated one early on that almost got them a goal, and so they really were using their speed. And so full marks to coaches on both sides where they had to make adjustments. The St. Mary's adjustment to go to kind of a dump and chase, kind of a heavier game, I think really worked well for them. They got guys like Moore, like Vortman, like Hodkinson, who are just masterful at getting down low and manipulating the puck. So I thought that was the St. Mary's game. But at the end of the day, if Stratford can play a little longer game, a little closer to that 200-foot game, they'll be as good as anybody in this league for sure. We've seen Chatham in the last 2 or 3 weeks. We've seen Elmira, we've seen Cambridge, and Stratford is certainly the quickest of the bunch, and that's saying something because Chatham's real quick too.
Yeah, I think a real key to us. Sorry, Razor, just jump in there to jump on what Halser said. I think for us is putting together 60 minutes of that first 20 against those top teams, and we can compete with anybody. I really think that, but that's hard to do too, right? Against good teams because they're going to come at you in waves too. But it's interesting to hear.
Better too, I think Bender will be better too. Like you wouldn't blame the loss on Bender, but they had. Calhoun and Bender had identical stats in save percentage and goals against going in. So we know Bender is the kind of guy that can take over a game. We didn't see that guy, but it's only a game in December, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I was looking at the replays, and there was definitely 2 goals that I think Bender would have liked to have had back. Cole Brooks, where he got that pass in tight from Hodkinson. I think he would have liked that one back. And the third one by Lincoln Moore, I think. But that was through traffic. The Lincoln Moore's second goal, you had said it, Clarkie. You thought that there was some traffic. I looked at the replay, and there was traffic, and it was a foot off the ice, stick side, the hardest save to make for a goalie. Yeah. And with him catching with his right, it was a perfect shot below his blocker, above his pad while he butterflied. Optically, it looked like a bad goal, but it was really a good goal through traffic. He couldn't really do too much. So, but
and a great shooter, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah. Like, I think he's got the best shot in the league.
I was just going to say, I don't think there's 5 guys in the league shooting better than Lincoln Moore does.
No, he's definitely got the best shot. Quick release. He reminds me of Bedard, how he curl and drags it. So as a goalie, you're moving, you're looking at it where the puck is. And when he curl and drags it and pulls it a foot closer to him, then he releases it. That's changing so much as a goalie trying to pick that puck up. And when it was in traffic. So shout out to Lincoln Moore, dude. Like, you've got all world shot. Like, keep using that. That is going to do you so well.
Use it against everybody else. Hit some shin pads next time you're Stratford.
That's right.
I'm just glad to see him starting to shoot more. And
I got to give a shout out to Calhoun. I thought he played really well. I didn't think he had a whole lot of work there in the first, and then he got lucky. It was 2-1 for you guys, Chess, and then there was that play from behind the net. The puck hit his back, and I thought if that goes in, then it's 2-2, and it stays out, and there's a face-off to the right side, and I'm like, man, like, Stratford just wasn't getting any breaks, but Calhoun made a couple of great plays. Galbraith was all alone. It could have been 2-2. Just he played really well, and hats off to Calhoun, who stood very tall for you guys on Thursday night. But
I think what I said to a couple of guys too that were talking about it. I don't shots on goal really mean nothing to me. They are nice because it means you're putting pucks to the net, etc. But it all depends on where they're coming from. But when we talked a little earlier, Chess, about how it's all doom and gloom when Stratford loses 2 games in a row, and everyone's getting fired and we're gonna close the rink and all that bullshit. I said, if we were that bad and we were able to get 35 shots on net against St. Mary's in St. Mary's and have a goal called back, and Galbraith was in alone, and Schmitty missed one right at the net front, and Marsh ripped one off the crossbar. We'll take that for our first test against our rivalries that are a 9-iron away from us.
And that's right. And I'll make all the Stratford people feel better as well. And I'm going to tell you, Stratford's going to be right there. There is no doubt in my mind from what I saw Friday night. These next 3 games we play against them, you can flip a coin. It's going to come down to, a shot here and there or a mistake here and there. These 2 teams are so tight. They're built so similar defensively. Stratford's going to be just fine, people. Just chillax. It's going to be all right.
Yeah, I really think against the top half of the league here, anytime that our teams meet, it's going to be the game of mistakes, right? Whoever makes the most mistakes or has a bad giveaway somewhere is going to be the difference in the game. And then when one team gets up 2 or 3 on the other, then it's just too deep of a hole against the top half of the league here. So I look forward to the second half run here. It's going to be some really, really good hockey because we got a lot of good games against the top half of the league coming.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And I wish Stratford, they got to show a little bit more pushback, and that'll come. I think that was just a let's get acquainted game, and I'm looking forward to January's return match with St. Mary's coming into town. Stratford knows exactly. For the guys that weren't with you last year, Clarkie, they know exactly what they're dealing with. And you guys have done an amazing job, Powers and Bradley, picking up Keene. Oh my God, Halser, you hit the nail on the head. What a pickup he was for you guys, Chess. And Macaulay, he only scored the 2 goals there against the Stars and the OT winner. Another nice pickup. And so, Stratford's going to be there. You guys opened up their eyes, and I look forward to Bender standing strong and seeing what happens in January when all of this goes round 2 of the Battle of Highway 7. So just great game by all, and can't wait to fill the almond. Hopefully Mother Nature cooperates a little bit better, but it's going to be a full house, and can't wait for that next month you guys coming back to town.
We got to do a live show before the next one.
Yeah, that sounds good. We start tailgate at 4 in the parking lot around the burn barrel. And
like the old school parking lot, which is actually the grass of the theater now.
Yeah, I love it. I'm in.
Clarkie and Razor, I take my wings honey garlic, by the way.
Honey garlic.
Yeah,
that's pretty soft order, Chess.
Really
right?
Here,
honey garlic. My goodness. You get chicken fingers and fries too?
No. Just talking about that on the way out of the rink. It loves me some chicken wings.
Yeah. I was hoping you'd forget about that.
We'll have to we'll have to get over the break and get that out of the way before the 16th.
Absolutely.
We're gonna look forward to the next round.
We're gonna head over to see our good buddy 40 over at work, and we'll definitely have some wings and beers and talk about how that's not gonna happen in round 2 back here in Stratford. So
we'll slip in a few honey hots, Chess, into your honey garlics there. Spice it up a little.
You can have a couple in there, yeah.
All right.
Is that a metaphor?
Yes.
All right, Clarko, thanks for coming on, and we'll let you go, and then we're going to continue with Chester and hear all about their game down in St. Thomas last week. We'll look forward to talking with you next week, Clarkie.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. Great to chat, and great game. I can't look forward to the next one soon enough. So have yourselves a great week. We'll see you next week.
Cheers, Clarky.
Director of Hockey Operations, Jason Clark. Well, Chester, you guys went down to St. Thomas on Friday night, and you got down quickly 3-0 there in the first period. And you end up coming all the way back and score a 5-4 OT win. So tell us about what happened on Friday night in St. Thomas.
Yeah, that was an interesting game, to say the least. You know, Vaughn Barr got the start. He hadn't started for 5 or 6 starts in a row. So I think they really wanted to get him in there, especially with the break coming up, right? So unfortunately, a couple tough goals in the first period there. I think the first one was 2:35 in. Sorry, not quite that
2:35.
Early. Was it 2:35? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then 14:20.
So, it was a funny period. We outshot them in the first 19-7. Basically, this game came down to 2 words, and it was William Camputaro.
Yeah, Stratford found that out there the other week when they were down there.
Yeah, he was dynamite.
Dynamite 48 of 53. Sioux Greyhounds draft pick. Yeah, he hasn't hurt St. Thomas coming and backstopping them. So
yeah. In all, St. Mary's didn't even play bad. They were down 3-0, 7 shots against after the first, and they actually had a period. They absolutely dominated puck possession. They were winning the battles. It was just a couple of, they had a couple nice goals. And sometimes when you're a goalie too, you don't get a chance to even get warm. And the first 2 or 3 shots on you are absolute beautiful shots. And all of a sudden you're looking at the scoreboard going, holy crap. It's 3-0, right? So, unfortunately for Vaughn. Yeah,
it happens.
Unfortunately for Vaughn, it's just the way it went. And, they made the goalie change between the first and the second. And, maybe it rallied the troops. I'm sure the intermission conversation was great. And the boys came out in the second and just played. They continue to play very well. And, they got the 4 goals in a row, which obviously gets them going, right? It took a while, though. I think it was halfway through the second before we scored that first goal.
54 seconds, Kelp.
And then we didn't get one for a while. So and then Kelpie got 154. Okay.
Yeah,
and then Macaulay, Reddy, and McQueen Spence.
Yeah, it was like bang, bang, bang within
those 3 were quick.
3 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
You guys were ahead.
I was listening to Spencer on the radio, and like he just said, like, it's absolute domination. Like, we dominated the whole game from like he said, 60 minutes of domination, right? And the kid in net played awesome until they got him solved. You start playing those games, he's in our heads, right? It's 3-0. We've had 50 shots on this kid. We got to get one by him. Once they got one by him, the Lincolns are experienced enough to know that they keep playing the right way. They're going to keep getting, they're going to get some more. And they did, and they stuck with it. And, St. Thomas got one in the third to send it to OT, which was, a little upsetting. Once they were up 4-3, I thought it was all over and done with. But good on St. Thomas for not giving up, right? They're a young, fast, good team. They got tons of skill. And, they came back, and anything could have happened in overtime. Overtime was a circus. I don't know if you guys watched it.
No, I didn't.
I watched a chunk of it, yeah.
It was back and forth, 2-on-1, yep. 2-on-1, 2-on-1. And the winning goal, Haji and Macaulay, they had a 2-on-1. They didn't score. St. Thomas came back with a 2-on-1, didn't score. We picked up the puck again, and there was Haji and Macaulay again with another 2-on-1. And Haji held on. The goalie finally just got himself out of position, and then Haji just dished it over, and Macaulay had the empty net to put it in. And thankfully, he did. So, I think they obviously deserved the 2 points because they dominated 95% of the game. So it was good to get the 2 points, but they definitely had to work for it. So, good character win again. Much like the Thursday night game in Stratford, they were down early and they came all the way back and got the job done. So another good weekend, right? So good stuff.
Yeah. You guys got 4 out of 4 points, and you've only got the one game coming up this weekend. You've got Kamoka coming in, and then you guys are off for a couple of weeks for the Christmas break. So you got Kamoka Friday night coming in, and the boys will probably go home and and enjoy some time with family and friends, and then be back at it again for January. So
it's good timing for the break because Montesi and I believe it was McMillan both got they came out of the game early with a couple small injuries. And Cam Keane didn't travel to St. Thomas on Friday night either. He was nursing a bit of an injury as well. So by the end of that game, they were down to 3D.
Sorry,
Yeah, and
Clark's been out
Clarkie's
for
hurt.
about 2 weeks now, I think.
Yeah. So, they ended the game with three defensemen. Haji had to go back and play D the last period of the game. So really good timing to have a bit of a break here. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think a lot of teams are probably in that boat where those 2 weeks are going to be nice to rest and get all the aches and bumps and bruises under control before they come back for the stretch run starting in January. So, all right, my friend. Well, we look forward to seeing you down at work over the holidays. Clarkie and I, and I think Schenker was kind of on your guys' team. So it's Graffer, Clarkie, and I. We got to be able to feed and drink you guys. So, yeah, looking forward to it down at work.
Well, we'll
I've started fasting already.
Well, it's only a pound. You only get a pound. No, I'm sure there'll be a few pounds. So,
excellent.
All right, Chris Chussell from Chester's Perch, doing the St. Mary's Lincoln's recap. Always great to see you, brother, and best wishes and Merry Christmas to you and the family.
Yeah, all right, boys. Thanks again. Happy holidays. And again, thanks to our sponsors down at the Boathouse, and we wish them the Merry Christmas as well. So take care, guys. We'll see you soon.
Cheers,
awesome. All right. We'll be back with Dave Graff and Chew on That.
Chew on That with Graffer. Brought to you by Work Pub and Eatery. Get a taste of tradition and charm in our family-run pub. From hearty dishes to cold drinks, we've got everything to make your visit memorable. Located at 75 Wellington Street, Stratford.
Yes, Guy. We've got Graffer in the house.
How's it going tonight, guys?
What's up, Graffer?
Good. Go Blue.
Yes, go Blue. Hey, I'm just like you, Razor. I'm despite everything going on, I'm still go Blue.
Right?
Still go Blue.
You and me both. Well, I was telling the boys, I was thinking about what to have for a jersey and backdrop, and I'm like, I got to go with Superman, the way he put his cape on there at halftime in Foxboro and ended up bringing our Bills back from the dead, down 21-0 and 24-7 at the half. Like, man, oh man, is he fun to watch or what?
He just puts the cape on a few times a game and takes over.
Yeah.
Right.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we've got some disturbing news out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Tell us what you want to talk about and why.
Yeah, I would have loved to put the Allen jersey on today, but I don't want to insinuate I'm jumping back on the wagon because I've been a little hard on him, as fellow fan Holly knows there. But anyway, I thought, I got to talk about Michigan because we've all been down to Ann Arbor to games, and I love going down there and supporting them. And always been my football team. I love the Tar Heels in basketball. Always been Michigan in football. But this thing that came up with Sherrone Moore last week, the head coach, got me looking a little bit, and really, I call it the 10-year shit show in Michigan. And I don't want to run down Jim Harbaugh, but I got to mention that since he came in 2015, it's been a shit show in Michigan. And I'll go through the good to start with, because there obviously has been some very good. There's been the best of the best. 87-25 in the years that Harbaugh was there, the 9 years, whatever it was. 3 Big Tens, 15-0 in 2023, and obviously the national championship.
Ran the table.
Ran the table, winningest program in college history. But that's about all of the good. And, the bad is lengthy. And it starts with he almost batted 1,000 for having a coach arrested per year that he was there. 7 coaches arrested. 90% of those DUIs, but they're
under his watch.
Reflective of leadership of the program.
Right.
7 guys arrested in 9 years. And then, of course, what happened last week with Sherrone Moore, who took over for Harbaugh, obviously, when he left.
Handpicked by Harbaugh.
What's that?
He was handpicked by Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, when Harbaugh left, yes.
Yeah, because I heard that when Jim Harbaugh was leaving, that was one of his mandates or requests that it was Sherrone Moore take over the head coaching job,
right.
Because he had done a good job. He beat OSU there last year down at the Horseshoe. Right. And just thought he was the guy. So
right, and he did okay when he was covering for Harbaugh in one of his suspensions, I believe.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and that goes to the sign stealing in 2023. You know, the in-person scouting bylaw 11.6 clearly states and prohibits anybody from doing any off-campus scouting of any future opponents. It's an NCAA rule, and Harbaugh denied, knowing anything about it. When he was asked about it, he did not want to engage in conversation, and that brought me back to 2005 when Roger Clemens said Andy Pettit must have misremembered him sticking a needle in his left butt cheek. Right?
Yes.
Like, how many times did Roger say misremembered? Well, Harbaugh didn't feel like engaging in conversation. Meanwhile, the NCAA had proof of a huge cover-up to try to cover Harbaugh's involvement in it, right? Overwhelming evidence of a cover-up. So he was given the 10-year show cause order, which basically means anybody that would even want to hire him before 2038, because between now and 28, he is serving his recruiting violation penalty. So that's 3 years, and then another 10 for his no-show or his show cause order, they call it. And that's where any team that wants to hire him has to petition the NCAA and better have very good reasons why he was innocent of the other stuff, or they could even sanction that team for talking to him. That's how serious that show cause order is, right? So, because he's serving that recruiting violation as well. And then you go to the Sherrone Moore thing. I mean, you guys have heard as much as I have about it, and you read more about it, and apparently several, not just some, but several people have known for a couple of years it's been going on, and it takes two to tangle, but he was clearly in the wrong, and it's too bad what's happened, but it's just with everything that's happened, I look at imagine if that was LSU or USC or some of those deeper south or even Western schools. Would they not be sanctioned with something by now? With everything, I understand that Jim Harbaugh was given his recruiting violation suspension and now this show cause order for 10 years. I understand that, but I don't think the school has been reprimanded at all, have they? Or they haven't lost any bowl games, I don't believe, or been ineligible for any bowl games, I don't think. I just think some of those other schools that notoriously, Baylor, some of those southern schools over the years, Brigham Young, that have had SMU, that have had some issues over the years. Imagine if those schools had this kind of 10-year history. I just think the book might be thrown a little harder at some of them, right?
Well, it was interesting, like when you said that we were going to talk about it, I'm like you, I bleed Michigan blue, so I love them. I'm also a Niners fan, so I loved Harbaugh when he took my Niners that were the laughing stock in the NFL and brought them back to respectability.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of got mixed emotions, like the recruiting violations. I remember it was over something stupid, like he bought a hamburger for a kid. That was back before NIL deals and stuff.
Right.
So, you couldn't pay them or anything. And so it was pretty chintzy, the 3-game recruiting violation. But you're right. Sherrone Moore was under his watch. Jim Harbaugh knew that there was sign stealing going on. There's no way a head coach doesn't know. They can't pin it to him, like with credit cards paid to have guys go to the different schools. And they were even so bold enough to have the guy dress up as in the school colors that they were spying on. And he was walking around the sidelines. Like, talk about ballsy, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but Jim knew nothing about it.
Exactly. That's very believable. So very believable.
Corey Stallions took it upon himself to help the team. And
Yeah, right. And they knew nothing about it, right?
Yeah.
And so the reason why I say that is because coaches are looking for an edge, right?
For sure.
I guarantee you that Nick Saban was doing things to get an edge. You've got, if you're playing competitive sport, Bill Belichick, was spying on teams and stuff, like anything to get the edge. And it's just Michigan got caught. Right. And it's not right or wrong. Well, technically it's wrong, but there's a lot of schools that are cheating and doing it, and they don't get caught. The ex-coach of LSU, Orgeron, he said the only difference between before NIL and NIL now is, he says, back then the money used to come in the back door. Now with NIL, the money comes through the front door.
Money's still coming in; it's just coming through the front door,
right? And that's the coach. That's the coach of a national football team, right? Admitting
within the last 3 years before, because I was 219,
right?
3 or
with
4 years
Joe Burrow and Chase and Jefferson, and there he is admitting,
So the great story there with that Orgeron, when they let him go, and he says, they call me in. They said, "Oh, we're going to pay out. You're going to pay me out $17 million. What door do I go out?" He couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Yeah, he's a beauty. It's just Stephen A. Smith, and I was mentioning it to you on the group chat. He basically hit the nail on the head. He said, sex is undefeated. Like, all of this was done for having an alleged affair with Sherrone Moore, having an alleged affair with his executive assistant. And gave her a 55% raise for who knows what, like, because you always give people 55% raises for making a few phone calls and doing a few administrative things for you. And, what you're reading in the papers, it was the worst kept secret at Michigan. And it sounds like the athletic director said to him, "Hey, look, I'm hearing more and more of it. You've got to do something, whether you transfer her, fire her, whatever." Now, all of this is alleged, but just stuff that I'm reading said that for whatever reason, and I'm sure he would like a mulligan, but he chose to fire her rather than transfer her somewhere else and keep her $95,000 a year salary. So, and that's when the wheels came off the cart, because she went running to the athletic director saying, "All that proof that you couldn't find, here's my phone, here's all the proof that you need." And then that's when the athletic director at Michigan had no choice but to can Sherrone Moore. Right.
And Razor, you say, I go back to, you said, like Stephen A. said, sex is undefeated. But everything you just said, and the fact that all kinds of alumni and boosters knew that this was going on for years, it was a close game for quite a while.
Right.
Yep. Sex is undefeated, but it was a pretty close game for quite a while, because, and you just said it, he still was given an out, even knowing all of this. It sounds like he was potentially given an out, which, just my opinion, we can all different opinion, but is that not wrong? Like, as a person right at the top, should you not be saying, "Okay, there is no options for you. We can tweak things to get rid of you and make it sound a little more professional, and maybe he doesn't end up over with a knife in her throat, but we could do something like that." But like you said, though, he might have still got off. I don't want to say off, but this might have still all been
swept under the carpet.
And he's coaching in 2026. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
A lot of things happened quickly, and it's just unfortunate, like, he's got a wife and 3 young girls, and, I feel terrible for her through no fault of her own. She's being dragged into this hornet's nest. I read today that she's sticking by him, at least for now, trying to get through all of this. It's just a terrible story, situation. Like I said, a lot of this is all allegations, but you just wonder how a guy can go from being at the top of the food chain to, in an afternoon, getting fired and being at your mistress's house pulling knives and threatening to kill people. Like it's a sad story all the way around. If any of it's true, it's a sad story. And yeah, I don't know how he gets out of this or if he gets out of this, but it's just unfortunate.
Yeah. No, Halls, maybe you can chime in here. I doubt there will be, but do you think there's any other discipline for the school through something like this and just everything that's gone on over a collective year period of time?
Well, you just never know. Sometimes when there are repeated offenses, even if they're of a different nature, then the overseeing body will come in and, do an audit, as it were, and just find out what's going on around here. Because you're right. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of programs that are just as big as Michigan that might be doing some of this, but nobody's doing all of this. Yeah. And I think your point's well made. I think that the school may have to do a full investigation and backdate it several years to try and make sure that they come out smelling like a rose, because the money is just too big now. And, what affects your football program affects your bottom line more than any other sport, amateur sport in North America. College football is by far the largest amateur sport going on here. And literally hundreds of millions of dollars. And so you don't mess around when you're talking about that kind of money. And so they go through, this is the problem with this amount of money flying around in college football, is that problems like this will always first be attempted to sweep under the rug. How do we avoid,
to a razor's point? Yes.
How do we avoid getting this in the press becomes more important than how do we help alleviate this ugly situation that has gone on that we're just finding out about. So, I mean, is there a right or wrong answer? I don't know, because I don't know the particulars, but if I'm Michigan, I am going with both barrels into that athletic director's office and tearing apart everything and finding out if there's any more surprises coming out of the bushes waiting for the administration.
Yeah, like the athletic director is on speed dial with the NCAA with all the investigations with Harbaugh and this sign stealing and everything else going on. And the more I read into it, and like I said, and this is all alleged, but they said that they kept it quiet until all the new recruits committed to Michigan. Right. And then that's when they brought it out. Now, who knows? I read the other day that it was because he ended up firing the girl. I would think that would have a big thing, where she's losing her $95,000 a year salary. She's got, car payments, rent payments, everything else going on. But the other thing that is interesting that you don't hear as much, I guess there's a clause in all of the NCAA NIL deals, whatever you want to call it, that when there is a coaching change, that the current players, like the star quarterback Underwood, they all have 15 days to decide whether they want to enter the transfer portal.
Right.
Because they've had enough of, the circus, or they don't want to play for the new guy coming in. You don't hear a peep about any of those guys. So I'm sure all like Tom Brady and Larry Ellison's wife from Oracle, she, I guess, played a big role in getting Bryce Underwood decommit from LSU and come up to Michigan. Right. And, you want all the donors on board. And there's a lot going on in Ann Arbor right now. And I don't know how it's all going to play out, but hopefully you don't have the team and the kids penalized through no fault of their own, right?
No, for sure. No, it's just sad. I mean, and there's Jimmy out in LA when he gets asked about it and that. Oh yeah, I think the equipment manager mentioned in passing coming off the field today. But like, come on, just stop, Jimmy. Like, man up.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying Jimmy's a bad guy. I think he's a great guy. He's great for football. He was great for San Francisco for a couple of years. He was a great player at Michigan. He subbed in the NFL and won some football games as a player. He's a good guy, but just take some ownership. Take some ownership, just a little bit. Just take that much ownership.
I don't know if he will.
I don't think he will.
There's no upside to him admitting.
You're right. You're
anything
exactly
at
right.
this. You know what I mean?
Good point.
And he ended up like he thought, okay, I'm not going to stay at Michigan and get suspended, which is where that was heading.
Yeah, he wouldn't be coaching. You're right.
Right. And there's no better. He was no more marketable. There wasn't a better time financially for him to jump to the NFL, back to the NFL after going undefeated and winning the Natty. So he was lucky that he caught lightning in a bottle and was able to go win the Natty and then jump over to LA. Because if he didn't have a NFL job to sit on, he'd be sitting at home. He'd be doing nothing.
And you nailed it. I agree. He has to look out for number one, and that's himself and his family. And I 100% agree. And when you think about it, there's not a lot he can say to stick up for Moore. Like, Moore made his own bed, and what's Harbaugh going to say? Like,
right.
You know, he maybe could say a little more that he's got his back and, you know, he hopes for the best or whatever. But really, he can't do much for the guy anyway. So,
right.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Graffer.
We got to end on a funny note because we're talking, and I go back to Stephen, you brought it up, Razor, Stephen A. Smith, talking about sex is undefeated. And I'm a hockey guy at heart, and I love the movie Young Blood. My buddies know I've watched that 800 times over the years.
Yep.
And that got me to thinking about the scene, the tea with Miss McGill, and Rob Lowe's character, Dean Youngblood, when he gets to the boarding house and he's in the room and he and Miss McGill are, you know, and there's Keanu Reeves and he was the goalie, and his character and Jeff Hewitt are out in the hallway. Hewitt was the big beer drinking defenseman, and they're sitting there eating bags of chips and that, and they're outside the door, and Keanu Reeves in his accent says, "Oh, she do it to me last year, huh?" And Hewitt turns and says, "Oh, she do it to me last night, no?" Anyways, talking about something being undefeated. There you go. End it on a good humor.
That's
good
right.
Out here, guys. Everybody get down to work. Be good, guys.
Yeah, we look forward. We ended up losing our bet with Stratford losing in St. Mary's Thursday night, so we owe beer and wings to Halser, Chester, and Shanker. So
I'm in for
forward to doing that over the holidays. We'll go down and see our good friends at work.
Yeah, let me know when we're going. I got a third cover.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
We look forward to seeing you over the holidays.
Yeah, be good, guys. Thanks.
Cheers, Crawford.
Railside Organics, Stratford's first and only Indigenous-owned and operated organic dispensary, located at 29 Monteith Avenue, serving those in need with holistic remedies. Come say hi to Curly and his staff and see why everyone is recommending Railside Organics. Call Bick Heating and Cooling for all your heating, cooling, and plumbing needs. Proud Rude Pro partner. BickHeatCool.com or 226-921-4848. Your home team specialists. Taking care of Stratford and area since 2013. Vreda Veld Painting. Servicing Stratford and surrounding area. With over 20 years of experience to help you with all your painting and decorating needs, on time and on budget.
All right, Halser, any last words?
Yeah, I got to do some stuff with my Toronto Blue Jays. Number one, and the big news, other than the big free agents, is the signing of Shapiro to a 5-year extension, which up until this year would have disappointed a lot of people that were ready for he and his boy Atkins to be ushered to the door had they not had the success that they did. So, you know, at the end of the day, I don't like the guy personally. He turns me off, his personality, whatever. But at the end of the day, the Toronto was in the World Series. They put in, what was it, $250, $300 million worth of renovations. They built a winner. They built a sustainable program, and they're getting better. They're probably going to be a better team next year than they were this year. So you just, you know, even a guy like me who has talked smack about Shapiro for years and years, at the end of the day, dude got it done. And so you have to respect that. So the other thing I want to talk about is that I'm still digging through the history books and find out if this has happened before, but I'm pretty sure it hasn't. The Toronto Blue Jays acquired 2 sidearm relief pitchers on the same day. And I don't think that's happened in Major League history before. They got Chase Lee in a trade from Detroit, and then they signed Tyler Rogers to a 3-year deal, $37 million. This guy is an under the radar. A lot of non-baseball fans will say, "Who the hell is this dude?" But I'm telling you, this guy is in the 100th percentile in ground ball rate and in fewest walks, 0.7 something walks per 9 innings. He's a 1-inning guy. So he, in every 9 appearances, he walks 1 guy. And meanwhile, he's got a 100th percentile ground ball rate. So he'll walk a guy and then throw a ground ball and they'll get a double play. Now, if you've got a pitcher who throws 50, almost 60% ground balls, where would you want him to play? Probably in Toronto, where they've got an all-stud infield defensively. And so this is a great signing. One that's, I mean, Cease is making all the noise, and whoever the bat is that they get is going to make a lot of noise. But this is an under-the-radar signing that is going to get them out of jams in the 5th, 6th, and 7th innings, get them double play balls, and get them out of innings to keep them in games. That's a huge signing for them. So shout out to the Blue Jays.
Well, they were saying that Toronto's got the pitcher with the highest release point with Savage, and then the lowest release point. So could you imagine that? Savage comes out of the game, and then they bring him in. But that's going to be interesting.
If Savage comes out in the 6th inning with 1 out and runners on 1st and 2nd, releasing from 8 feet in the air, and then this guy comes in and releases from 2 feet in the air. Talking about a change in the sight lines.
Right. Awesome. All right. Good stuff as always. So look forward to talking with you next week. Hopefully Shanker's feeling a little bit better.
And a shout out to Shanker too. Hope you're feeling better, buddy.
Yeah. Get well soon, brother. All right. For Brian Hawley, I'm Gary Ray. Thanks for tuning in to episode 11 of the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast.
Peace.